Live with Crystal Moyer. This is News 6 Mornings, getting results.
Developing this morning, a large crime scene blocking off the entrance to an Orange County neighborhood. Video shows the heavy law enforcement presence. A potential legal battle is brewing between the federal government and the Lone Star State over the crisis at the border. A fourth suspect is now behind bars, accused in the murder of an Orange County high school student. 17-year-old Shayla Irizarry Del Hoyo was arrested Monday in Brevard County. We're learning new details about how this $100,000 Maserati got stuck in the sand on Cocoa Beach. And Troy, that same system that is bringing South Florida flooding rain is also making for an inconvenient weather day here.
Absolutely, like yesterday.
It was a bizarre discovery along a North Florida beach, part of the shoreline littered with loose, unpackaged marijuana. I'm Crystal Moyer. Justin is off. Trooper Steve is watching the roads, and meteorologist Troy Bridges has your pinpoint accurate forecast.
On this Monday.
Yes.
Who's excited?
I am. Let's get up and get the week started.
You are so hyped today that I'm trying to get there.
Do you know why? Because I don't feel it inside. But I'm going to show it on the outside.
Dustin was like, yeah, this is what I do to stay young. And I was like, well, how old are you? He's like 36. I'm like, stop it. He's not old. Like, oh my gosh. So it's just really cool to see people come together, even if they're not Scottish, just to learn a little bit about the culture.
People got really into it, Crystal.
Oh, they did. And if you were out there yesterday, you know it was scorching hot. Then the sky opened up, the storms moved in for a bit, but we had our insiders covered with a VIP experience.
Do you love bologna?
No.
You know, it has a first name. We were singing this song earlier.
What is it?
B-O-L-O-G-N-A.
Anyway, we are going to be pinpointing range. I knew you would know it. You know all the songs.
When I walked into her backyard, I was like, okay, so was it your mom or your dad that was interested? She's like, oh, they don't do bees. Like, mom was like, no, we're not going to put bees in the backyard.
Behind the glass door.
Yeah, she was just so interested in it and did a bunch of research, and there is a community of beekeepers. Duval. Yeah, I had to do it. Talks are picking up between the Jacksonville Jaguars and Daytona International Speedway, which could serve as a temporary home for the NFL franchise.
Yeah, it looks like the Reeboks, too.
Yeah, they do look like Reeboks.
Mid-80s and late 80s.
Sneakerheads right here.
Yeah,
I'm just looking for some kind of fancy tech in the shoes. I mean, they're out.
Yeah, that's true. They should have done that. But back then, when they first came out.
Back then, the 90s?
Yeah.
The 90s
yeah,
and back then?
That was a long time ago. Yeah, it was. Let's just admit it.
Crystal, the judge ruled on some other motions this morning, right?
Justin, the judge is allowing the prosecution to use certain social media posts made by Markeith Lloyd during trial, but she denied the use of Sade Dixon's name during opening statements. Now, she's the pregnant woman that Lloyd was found guilty of killing in a previous trial. Earlier this morning, 60 potential jurors were seated in court again. Off the bat, 2 Hispanic women were dismissed. Questioning of the potential jurors turned into a conversation, the prosecution bringing up sensitive topics like police brutality, arrest histories, the prosecution even asking the jurors if they felt comfortable describing violent crimes they've been victims of. The prosecution explained the conversations were to see if the juror could be objective based on their personal experiences. One juror saying he felt law enforcement uses excessive force when it comes to minorities. Those jurors will have to be narrowed down to 12 needed for trial. The judge also mentioned that those jurors that will be chosen will not have to wear those uncomfortable clear plastic masks during the trial. They're wearing them during the selection process so that the prosecution and defense can see their facial expressions. Now, trial is expected to start tomorrow, but the prosecution did say if the jury was selected and seated today, they have witnesses ready to go on the stand. For now, reporting live in Orange County, Crystal Moyer, Getting Results, News 6.
News 6's Crystal Moyer joins us there live. And Crystal, what can you tell us?
Julie, more than 7 hours after that deadly shooting, the scene is still active here in the Bermuda Village neighborhood. Police tell me it all started when a 73-year-old man called the Veterans Crisis Hotline for help.
He was contemplating to commit suicide. He did tell the crisis hotline that if the police were called, there was going to be blood.
Due to the threatening nature of the call, Orlando police and Orange County deputies were sent for a welfare check and found the man outside along Cashmere Drive with a pistol, according to police.
For approximately 20 minutes, the officers talked to this gentleman. They begged him to put the gun down. At some point, the gentleman makes some movements in a threatening manner towards the officers. The officers shot.
Police say the man died at the scene. No officers or deputies were injured, according to police. The gunshot shattering windows of sheriff's cruisers. Dozens of bullet casings scattered on the street. We don't yet know the identity of the man involved, but investigators tell us he's a veteran.
Extremely difficult and tragic. As a matter of fact, one of the officers on scene happens to be a veteran, and he even utilized trying to make that connection that I'm also a veteran. I'm a brother of yours.
Yeah, it's a tragic situation, and that's why you urge people to reach out to get counseling when they need it, and certainly if we're going to call for help, that we need to leave the firearms inside and not approach law enforcement with a deadly firearm.
FDLE is out here investigating whether or not the man shot at police. Now, we've been reporting lately on how law enforcement has been stepping up its efforts when responding to mental health calls. For example, Orlando Police, they have their community response teams that's helped respond to suicidal calls. Now, in this case, they were not dispatched. I'll tell you why, live at 5. For now, live in Orlando, Crystal Moyer, Getting Results, News 6.
It's 100 years of water skiing. The sport, obviously, I had to go to the water ski capital of the world, Winter Haven, to check out the Cypress Gardens water ski team.
All set?
On Lake Silver in Winter Haven, it's all skis on deck as the Cypress Gardens water ski team practices for their next performance.
Barefooting backwards, amazing. Just you can feel the water hitting your feet. Sometimes you take falls, but nothing beats it, in my opinion, for the feeling of barefoot water skiing.
It's a really neat thing to do for the community, and we just get all different ages at the shows and different groups of people that come in.
Cypress Gardens, Florida's first theme park, featured water ski shows that began in 1943 in Winter Haven.
There must be expert ski ability to all performances. It was being nursed, nourished, and developed into the world's fastest growing sport.
Millions of Florida visitors would watch the talented skiers and aquamaids. The team would go on to break more than 50 world records, Winter Haven earning the title Water Ski Capital of the World.
There it is, he did it, and you saw it too. 1 foot, barefoot, ski whiz. For Pete's sake, fella, don't wiggle your toes.
The theme park closed in 2009, ending the longest running entertainment production in the world.
I was a Cypress Garden skier for almost 30 years, and it was awesome. We got to go all over the world, and we're trying to continue that legacy.
Mark Voizard working with the city to bring the team back in 2012.
We're trying to teach the younger generation how to do what we do so they can continue this great sport. And you know, this year is the 100th anniversary of water skiing.
15-year-old Angelina Olsen, part of the new generation of water skiers.
I just love it, just being out here and skiing and just experiencing everyone else and learning from everybody else is just a really cool experience. And being on the water is the best thing. You can't compare anything to being on the water. So honestly, just that, the feeling that when you're on the water and learning new stuff is just so fun.
The Cypress Gardens water ski team performing free for community members several times a month, featuring new acts like this one, the water skier flying high, leaving a colorful trail while still preserving the routines that made history.
You know, now we're doing 4 tiers, and it's really fun. But also, I mean, the ballet line with the rope attached to your foot, you have to, know your person that's releasing you if something happens.
I even got from behind the camera to give it a shot. I've never water skied before. After a few minutes of instruction, I was gliding on the water with a little help. There you have it. Everyone's been waiting for that footage. Yes, they were really nice, taught me how to do it really quickly, and it was quite the experience. And it was hot outside, so it was really nice to learn that. Anyways, it is free to watch the performances of the Cypress Gardens water ski team. They perform every first and third Saturday of the month, so that's this coming Saturday. You can head out there to Martin Luther King Park, Silver Lake, and watch them do their thing, ladies. I wanted to see what all the buzz was about. Oh, all right. So when it comes to bee experts, we have quite a few of them here in Central Florida. One of them, just a teen, as you mentioned, with about 10 years of beekeeping experience. She invited me into the hive as she works to educate community members about the interesting and crucial hobby.
Right now I am lighting the smoker. So what it does is pretty much it covers your scent when you go in the hive. It makes the transition a lot smoother. So the bee movie, a lot of people think because of that movie that the honeybees, they fall asleep because of the smoker, that it puts them to sleep or puts them unconscious. However, that's not the case at all.
This busy bee is 17-year-old Miranda Clementel. She says it was a neighbor who got her interested in beekeeping.
I was very interested on what all these flying insects were and these white boxes, and I was just 8 years old, so I just started with just asking some simple questions, and I just fell in love with it.
Now she's got 2 beehives in her own backyard.
My mom was automatically really afraid, and she didn't want me to have bees, and it was definitely a process to get her to say yes, and I had to kind of beg her a little bit too, but finally she came around.
Before cracking open the hives, we need to suit up for a bit of protection. Did we just put these on?
Yes, correct. And then we'll put our gloves on. Yeah.
This is so cool.
Look like a beekeeper now. You're ready.
How many times would you say you've been stung?
I've gone and stung a lot. Definitely over 100 stings. So this is the top, and it's known as the honey super. This frame here, I'm going to try to point some things out to you. Yep. So that is known as capped honey, and then over here, right down here, you can see this liquid, and it's uncapped honey, and it's known as, at this point, it's nectar. So right here we have nectar in the frame, and then honey. So this is not honey until it is capped over. And so once a beekeeper sees that a frame is about 75% full of capped honey, which would be this frame actually, then beekeepers will pull the frame and they will go ahead and they will extract it.
Clementel says although they may sting sometimes, bees are a critical part of life.
We rely on these tiny little insects so much for our food production.
Pollinating $15 billion worth of crops in the U.S. each year, according to the USDA, including more than 130 types of fruits, nuts, and vegetables.
Without honeybees, coffee would be so much harder for us to get our hands on. It would be so much more expensive and rare to get because coffee, the crop, it relies heavily on honeybee pollination as well.
Clementel says a healthy hive can hold about 80,000 honeybees.
Each bee only makes 1/12 of a teaspoon of honey in their lifetime.
You're kidding.
So it's crazy. It's such all that work. It's such a collective effort. It's like they work as like one organism almost.
But when it comes to the hive, there's only one queen bee.
There she is, right there in the middle. She's beautiful. Her abdomen, the end part of her body, is a lot longer compared to all the other bees.
Even though it seems Clementel knows just about everything when it comes to bees, she says there's still so much to learn.
Getting to better understand them through like science and studying them in labs is probably a big motivation, as well as just being part of perhaps one day the commercial industry where I can have thousands of colonies and really contribute.
So Miranda is the president of the Orange Blossom Beekeepers Association and enjoys teaching others about the hobby. In fact, she's hosting a free honeybees basic course Thursday evening. I have the flyer here at the Orange County Extension Education Center. It's open to all ages and all skill levels. I'm going to post that information on clickorlando.com/insider.